Look past the somewhat lurid green paint, and the new Suzuki S-Cross is actually an endearing take on the crossover. Although it bears some family resemblance to the regular SX4, the S-Cross shares practically nothing with its smaller brother. It's quite neatly styled, with lots of protective plastic cladding, silver skid plates, and a subtle shoulder crease. But don't worry, you don't have to have the crystal lime metallic paint of our test car if it's not your thing. Inside, although it's predominantly black in here, there's a welcome dash of silver trim to lift the ambience a little. The seats offer good comfort and plenty of adjustment, as does the steering wheel, and there's soft padding in the important places such as on the doors and in the central armrest. There's also a colossal double sunroof on top spec models, and that floods the cabin with light. The dashboard itself is intelligently laid out, the Garmin-sourced media navigation system works well, and the blue-ringed dials couldn't be easier to read. Rear seat passengers have been given plenty of knee room, but headroom is a little tight for anyone 6 foot or over, particularly on cars with that huge sunroof. Still, the seatbacks recline slightly for greater comfort on longer journeys, or fold forward easily to increase cargo space. To start with, there's 430 litres of space in the boot, with a dual-level floor that allows you to hide valuables out of sight, and with the split rear seats folded forward, space increases to a total of 875 litres when loaded to the window line. 2 engines are available, one diesel and one petrol, both of 1.6 litres, and both with around 120 PS. Our car is the petrol model with a manual gearbox, and although it's no rocket ship, needing 12 seconds to get to 62 miles an hour, it does still have its plus points. You need to rev it to get the best out of it, but in normal driving, it's a very forgiving unit, and rarely complaining at being left in the wrong gear. That's unlikely to happen often because the 5-speed manual gearbox has been given a light and satisfying shift action that makes it easy to extract the best from the engine. Just as enjoyable is the handling. Of course, it leans a little in the bends, as you'd expect from any crossover, but it does so calmly and progressively. It turns in well too, and although the suspension is undoubtedly firm, Suzuki's engineers have managed to strike an endearing balance between control and compliance. In fact, our only complaint would be with the steering, which although offering about as much feedback as electrically assisted racks do these days, it does have a slight nervousness either side of the straight ahead position, and that's particularly noticeable at motorway speeds. Of course, most owners are unlikely to tackle anything trickier than a festival car park, so the all-grip four-wheel drive system ditches the heavy and complex hardware in favour of a simpler system controlled by a drive mode selector mounted by the gear lever. It provides a sport mode which tightens the throttle response and sends an additional 20% more torque to the rear wheels, plus a snow mode which is for use in muddy and slippery conditions. The lock button sends equal torque to both front and rear axles and is intended for sustained off-road use, but in auto mode the engine drives the front wheels, switching into four-wheel drive automatically if needed. The system worked well on our forest test route, although we didn't venture into the really horrible gloopy bits, but on terrain like this, auto or snow modes would suffice, and you'd really only need to use the lock button if you got yourself stuck in something smelly. The advantage of this simpler four-wheel drive system is good fuel economy, and the little S-Cross amazed us not just by achieving its government economy figure of 47.8 mpg, but by beating it, recording just over 50 mpg on one of our longer test runs. Prices for the Suzuki S-Cross start at $14,999, with our top-spec SZ5 all-grip test car coming in at just under $22,000. So while the Suzuki S-Cross might not exactly set your hair on fire, given time, its endearing handling, excellent economy and tons of space might just win you over. It certainly did us.